Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're all well, you amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. I hope you are all having a fantastic week so far. It's Thursday. We're going to get straight into the meat and potatoes as I'm doing two videos today. There has been a load of documents dropped in the Idaho 4 case, but there's not really a lot happening. Ultimately, it's a lot of sealed stuff. Obviously, seeing a lot of movement around the case in terms of this investigation that's happening in the background regarding the leaks. We've also got some mitigation witness information with regards to saying that they shouldn't be excluded, all this, but we'll go through that. I'll probably go through that in a live, and we'll just wait. I just really want more information to come through regarding the investigation, because that's going to lead into what we're going to talk about today, which is this investigation. Where is it going to lead? What could potentially be the outcome of it? Obviously, we're still waiting for Hitler to make a decision on whether there is going to be a continuance. I still believe that is likely, even though we've not seen any movement, and time is running out. You know, we are heading towards this trial already, and I would think that if they're gonna sort of pause everything, step back, Shadrach, then we're going to have to do that real quick. But I just want to go through some notes from mine and Eddie's conversation with you again, like I did yesterday. And then later on today, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel and make sure you got the notification bell turned on. And like the video and all that kind of background stuff, because it's helpful. And if you don't want to do things like that, then why are you even over here? Why are you over here? Maybe you're just over here so you can watch my video and then moan about it in the comments. You do you. But yeah, later on, I'm going to show you. I get some emails. And there's people in the background doing sleuthing. And they you'll see. Anyway, this is what we're going to be talking about in this video, which is, in the US, if a special prosecutor is summoned and assigned to a case, there are no jurisdictional limitations as for whom they may subpoena, regardless of who they are or what agency they represent. So this is what is potentially going to happen here, a special prosecutor, and they are given special powers. Bit like Batman. Not as good as Superman, but definitely on par with Batman. He's probably got a special belt, utility belt, and he can shoot stuff. He can pull people in and subpoena them, regardless of who the fuck they are. If it's connected to the prosecution, if it's connected to the defense, if it's anybody, you're all in the crosshairs. But let's look. The criminal elements of this case were known long ago, which include 3 undisclosed males known to be at the crime scene. And I know what some of you will think. You'll be like, well, why is that criminal then? Because we've got a situation where we've got people who died, they lost their life, and we've got DNA actually at the crime scene. So not on a transportable object, and we're not talking about DNA that was concluded that it was Brian Koberger's while it went through this kind of convoluted journey, and you kind of think, is it really you had to go through all of those, jump through all them hoops, and still, as I've mentioned in other videos, nobody really wants to take sort of responsibility for it. It's kind of, well, the FBI just give us a name and we kind of just then ignored everything else. I know there was other DNA, but we ignored it. So, you know, the fact that you've got undisclosed males, you know, at the crime scene, it's and you know there is, because you've got DNA there. You've literally got DNA at the scene, which we've got 2 unknown males' DNA, which is literally listed in the court documentation. Male A DNA on the knife sheath. Payne transcript. He was aware of the male's DNA, but we had Koberger's name first, per his released testimony. So he literally ignores what's there because he's given Koberger's name. And I've asked this question multiple times. Had the FBI not come along and said, right, there's Brian Koberger's name. That's someone that we think you need to look into. That is likely going to yield some results. Would they have continued looking at the other DNA, or would we have seen a subsequent protection order that protected those sources of DNA, if you like? Payne knew the FBI didn't state nor imply Koberger's DNA was on the sheath. The FBI's work product was the final determination. PCA falsifying Koberger's Elantra being in front of the King Road house, which is what the PCA seemed to allude to. It said about doing a turn at the front of the property, yada, yada, yada. If you've been following the case, you'll be well aware of what the PCA started. And then you've got PCA pages 11 and 12 stating Koberger's 2015 white Elantra was not in close proximity to the house. So you've got this glaring contradiction where in one hand they're saying that he was outside the house turning the road. Then they literally backpedal and say, well, we never said that he was actually at the property. And this confusion over, so is his phone turned off then? Because that's the only way that you're now going to kind of cover if you've done anything wrong, by convincing everybody that Brian Koberger's phone was actually off. So you can say that he was somewhere and he can't prove otherwise. And we see here, so it says, we find several months ago Koberger wasn't even in the same tower servicing the King Road house. And again, I touched on this yesterday, that clever verbiage stating that Brian Koberger is connected to a tower that services an area up to within 100 meters of 1122 King Road. We have got no information from a statistical analysis and returns of search warrants that would suggest that he was actually at the house. The only thing that ties Brian Koberger to the house, the only thing whatsoever, two things, is the work product of the FBI that there is no proof of, with connection to the knife sheath and DNA that was taken off of the knife sheath, apparently, and then sent through numerous labs to not yield a result. Well, we know it did yield results, but not Brian Koberger as a name. It was the FBI who would come back after taking it from Othram eventually and saying, right, we'll take it, stop everything, don't do anything with the work that you've already been doing. We'll sort it from here. Thank you, cheers, bye. And then they come back with Brian Koberger's name and try and tell you that we did this, we did that. We can't show you anything that we did. We can't really, what we did probably wasn't within the realms of what the public would want us to do. So that kind of makes them have the ability to say, well, we can't show you. But there is nothing that can be shown to prove what they did was done. Just a name. Thompson says he will prove the phone was turned off. Well, that's fantastic. How are you going to do that then? Maybe you will come back with the return search warrants and what information was obtained through them search warrants, which Ann Taylor still doesn't have. Who knows? You might do. The defendant, his 2015 white Elantra and 8458 phone's location were established in the PCA and admitted in court file documentation which stated the defendant wasn't even near the house. Latah County Heron sigh on the stand. If I know a suspect's location, I don't need a search warrant to find them. That is very, very important, this line here. If I know a suspect's location, I don't need a search warrant to find them. Why would Cy make such an unusual statement? See number 7 above, which included the usage of a Stingray to net 3,800 plus 100 cell phone locations known in the PCA, which takes you back to 11 and 12, the page 11 and 12 in the PCA, which stated Koberger's 2015 white Elantra was not in close proximity to the house. And I would imagine that that's where these two issues tie into one another. the fact that they did a Dragnet, and it was during that Dragnet of 3,800 phones that they actually found that Brian Kohberger was part of that Dragnet, and that placed him away from the property. And now that is being covered up. That's where I think the issue is with respect of this entire case. The fact that they do have Brian Kohberger's location. They've had it for some time, and they're trying to Kansas City shuffle you. Are you going to be fooled? Are you going to be fooled? Let me know down below whether you're someone who's going to be fooled. Do you think Brian Kohberger did it? Why is it that the only things that tie Brian Kohberger into it is the aforementioned knife sheath with all this convoluted workings around it? And also, what I didn't mention earlier was the other thing, which is these images of a white car. Now, I put in my community feed a picture of my camera and how my camera works at night. And some of these cameras, a lot of these cameras are like 4K cameras. They're very decent quality. And you can see in Dateline's documentary, a lot of the footage, what they've got is actually very good until it comes to the car itself. And what it is that it's good enough to lead you to believe that it could be a white Hyundai Elantra. It's possible, but it's too bad to say that it's absolutely 100% Brian Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra. So it's kind of in this grey area of, it could be, but it might not be. We've got no picture of Brian Kohberger. We've got no plate caught on camera. We've got nothing definitive that would say, yeah, that's definitely his car. Definitely his car. We've just got this situation that would say, yeah, it could be. But what we know is that there is multiple Hyundai Elantras in this area. There's multiple other white cars that could, under those circumstances, be confused as a Hyundai Elantra of 2015. And we do know that even a specialist who'd worked in this field for decades had himself been thrown for a loop, if you believe that is indeed Brian Kohberger's car, because he put it as a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra. So there you go. That's what you've got that ties Brian Kohberger to this property. You've got a DNA result with no workings to prove it, just a trust us, and you've got pictures of a car that could pass for a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra if you squint like that. Love you all.